Claire, what a performance on Saturday night. Not by you personally. What a performance by the Buckeyes on Saturday night. I wasn't shocked. Nebraska hasn't proven anything yet, but I just thought, especially that defense, my goodness, with all those playmakers and speed and a dual threat quarterback of the ability of Adrian Martinez to basically shut them out. I will call it a shutout, not technically, but in regards to meaningful football being played, they shut out Nebraska.
I think the most surprising thing for me, because I was a little surprised, the most surprising thing was how well balanced this Buckeye football team seems to be turning out to be. And I think as Buckeye fans, we've watched Ohio State have great defenses and have great offenses, and it's been a really long time since we've had the luxury of seeing both. And now again, I'm walking with some trepidation here because I, like you, think Nebraska might be slightly overrated and have been slightly overrated coming into the season, considering their record last year, which I know you don't like to do. But they're still a really good football team. So Ohio State handled their business like they should have against Nebraska. And again, I think just the balance of this team was probably the most surprising thing. JK tipped over the 3,000-yard mark. It's really amazing to watch him do what he's been wanting to do since his freshman year. So pretty excited about that young man as well.
Tony, in a game in which there could be a laundry list of items to be impressed by, what would be your top 2 or 3?
Oh, wow. There is a list. I think you mentioned it, Mark, the shutout. The Ohio State starters gave up 91 yards. The Ohio State starting defense gave up 91 yards of total offense while they were in the game. They leave the game, and then Nebraska goes on drives of like 75 and 65 yards. But that first-team Ohio State defense and, beyond the first team, the guys who rotate in there as well, because they've got 2 middle linebackers and they rotate in 8 defensive linemen and maybe more, depending on who's healthy. And so this is more than just a starting defense, but the guys that play regularly have been extremely impressive. And I'm starting to wonder if these 3 corners of Damon Arnett and Sean Wade and Jeff Okudah are as good as the 2016 corners of Garyon Conley, Marshawn Lattimore, and Denzel Ward, because they're playing like it. There's no weak link with this defense right now. And it starts, we talk about the secondary. I'm talking about the secondary, but it starts with Chase Young and it starts with Devon Hamilton inside, a defensive tackle. And they're all just one continuous beast, this thing that just keeps getting larger and stronger and feeding off of everybody they come into contact with. And for me, that's the most impressive thing, is how well they work as a unit. They get tested on a couple of drives or, just a couple of plays, and then they snuff it out. Nebraska was running stuff with the I formation, and that was working until it wasn't. They called a timeout and they stopped it. You saw like Indiana or Miami would have some success out wide, then they would sniff it out and stop it. And that's what this defense does. Yeah. They have they've shown no weaknesses right now, and that's the most impressive thing for me.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. And Liza Purdue joining us on the live chat, asking about the running back rotation. And obviously, this was the type game in which J.K. Dobbins was able to get his 24 attempts, rack up almost 200 yards at 177, and still have plenty of time for Master Teague and Justin Fields at quarterback. I think he plays quarterback, doesn't he? He's not a running back, is he? Yeah, I'm reading a stat line and just 12 and 12. So Master Teague, 12 for 77. Marcus Crowley got 4 carries as well. So they got those guys into the game, and they've looked really good all season as well. So that's something that I think is going to be key going forward, Tony, in regards to a running back rotation in which there's not one guy. So I talked Florida State a couple hours ago. They got Cam Akers. They've got nothing besides him, where to be able to showcase those other guys, albeit in garbage time, but still against the first string players, and they get their reps in the first half as well. Not all garbage time carries, but the backup to be able to go 3 deep at running back, that's not something Ohio State has had all the time.
No, they haven't. And really, they've struggled to find that third guy. And now they've got basically 2 of them with Marcus Crowley and DeMario McCall. Steel Chambers will probably redshirt because they don't need him. And, Marcus Crowley has played in every game, so he can't redshirt. He's played 5 games now, so he's part of it. So now he is going to play. You won't just hide him now. And when he's been in there, he's shown that he belongs. But when you see what Master Teague does when he gets the ball and the way how hard he runs, and now they're maybe involving him in the passing game a little bit more, he's a guy that together with J.K. Dobbins, it's almost like lightning and thunder with J.K. and Master Teague, because they're different backs. They can both hit home runs, but Teague is the biggest of the backs. He's the fastest of the backs.
Little boom and zoom.
Yeah, there you go. And I don't know that he doesn't quite have, I think, JK's vision yet, but it'll come. But those 2 together just complement each other so well because they are different, but they can do everything that you need each other to do.
And I think what we're seeing out of JK now too is, something that we didn't see as much of last year is these yards after contact. He's running tough. He's falling forward. His vision, his patience. We're seeing him block better, and it's becoming this complete package because we're seeing the offensive line do better in their run blocking. But it's incredible to watch JK grow in the entirety of his position as a back, and get those extra 1, 2, 3 yards after contact.
And that was something they talked to JK about all offseason, running tougher, and that's what they wanted from him. Turn 3-yard carries into 5-yard carries, 6-yard carries into 8-yard carries. And as long as he did that, then home runs would eventually come. And we're seeing that now where he's hitting some longer runs that he didn't do last year. And he is running you mentioned it, Claire, he's running so much more harder than he did last year. And he's pulling guys, and he's like 5'10", 215 pounds. But there's times where he runs like he's 225, and he's putting dudes on the ground, and that is it's contagious for the entire offense when they see him doing that. The offensive line loves it, and they love blocking for him. And then as defenses begin to key on him, here comes Justin Fields. He keeps it, and there he goes for 50 yards. And now that's something they didn't have last year. That's 2 things actually 3 things that the team didn't have last year when it comes to the running game. You've got the threat of the quarterback run. You've got JK running like he's angry. And you have an offensive line that run blocks like their lives depend on it. And I had a feeling coming into the season that they were going to be a better run blocking unit because there are more guards in this group. Last year it was a bunch of tackles, and just talking to them, they didn't have the same kind of like demeanor that this group has, where these guys are a little grittier, and they're showing it each week, and they get challenged really well, and they get coached up really well. And then you see one guy goes down, another guy steps in, and they don't even miss the beat.